Hello and welcome back to another one of my film reviews. Today I went and saw Fighting with My Family, which shows the story of the WWE wrestler Paige and how she came from being a fighting wrestler in Norwich, just doing small gigs and venues, to working her way all the way up to being the Divas champion in the WWE. So this film was based on a documentary which was made about the family of wrestlers on Channel 4 a few years ago, and apparently Dwayne Johnson saw it and really liked it, and so he got hold of Stephen Merchant, who directed it and everything, and they made a film out of it. There are a couple of things, if you've watched the documentary, there are a couple of things that are in that which aren't in the film, but the film works out perfectly fine on its own. In fact, it's a really good film. I enjoyed it. I was smiling throughout all of it. I was laughing. There were some really funny moments, and there's some sad moments and heartbreaking moments, but anyone that knows Paige from WWE knows how it all works out in the end, and she got her Divas Championship. So yeah, it was a really good film. It's about a film about being true to yourself, not pretending to be something you're not. And yeah, it's just a good film. You don't even have to really be into wrestling to enjoy this film, I think. I think anyone could enjoy this film just as a film on its own without being too much into the wrestling. It had quite a few archive clips looking back from the old days of wrestling, because it showed when they were kids watching the wrestling, and then as they're growing up, and then they're trying to get into the WWE. So they have thrown in quite a few of the original clips and stuff, so it gives it a nice all-rounded feel to it, and it keeps the flow going. I felt it had a good flow to it, between her story and then showing the clips on the real wrestling and then back to her story. It works well. They got the balance right. It would have been very easy for them to get the balance wrong, but it's showing like the personal life and then all the drama of the wrestling, but they got it right. That is actually a skill to get that right. I've watched several films where they try juggling two things like that together and it doesn't work, but this one did work. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was going to show her career all through the wrestling, all the way up until the point where she had to retire because of her neck injury. Of course, then she became the general manager of SmackDown, but maybe they'll make a sequel. The film only goes up to the point where she goes on Monday Night Raw for the first time and gets the Divas Championship. For that actual fight right at the very end of the film where she gets the championship, they didn't actually use archive footage for that. They actually reenacted that. And I was a little bit disappointed because in the film it shows Paige, she's frozen, she can't speak, whereas in reality, if anyone has watched it, I mean it's on YouTube if you want to find it, she is speaking, she's congratulating AJ on the win. So in the documentary it shows her brother Zodiac does actually fail the tryout because he's not strong enough. Then he goes back and is actually on TV with The Big Show and Sheamus, but again he doesn't make it in. Whereas in the film, it doesn't show any of that. It just like he didn't get in, and that's that really. They kind of explain the reasoning later why he didn't get in, according to the film, which is slightly different to the reasoning that they had on the documentary. But this isn't a documentary. This is a film. So if you're just going to look at this as a film in its own right, without comparing it to the original documentary or without comparing it to Paige's time on the WWE through the NXT and through Raw and time on SmackDown and everything like that, just looking at it as a straightforward film, it is actually really good. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's just it's a feel-good film. It is a good feel-good film. It's heartwarming in places. I said it is quite funny in places. Yeah, I enjoyed it. There's not really much more to say about it. I mean, I think it is a good film. The Rock is in it. The Rock is in quite a lot of the trailers, so you might think it's quite Dwayne Johnson heavy, but he's not in it too much. He's like in it kind of in the near the beginning and then a bit at the end, and you kind of, he's around a little bit, but it's not a Rock film. It's not about him, so he's not really in it too much. But so if you're looking at the trailers, you might think it's a bit misleading, thinking, oh no, he's quite a big part of it, but he isn't really. And there's a couple of other wrestlers that make cameos. They're just in the background, and it's nice to see. It just makes it feel a bit more real and authentic. They don't make a big deal of it. It's like, you know, they're just there, and, you know, okay, they just carry on. Yeah, so it's a good film. So if you like the wrestling, I think you'll really enjoy this. And as I said, even if you're not into that kind of thing, I still think you'd enjoy it, because it is a funny film. It is a good film. So yeah, I highly recommend Fighting With My Family, the film, not actually Fighting With My Family. Yeah, so alright, check out, see what film review I post tomorrow. I don't know what it will be yet. I think it's some Japanese thing I'm going to watch tomorrow. I don't know. Have to tune in to find out. Bye.